You're probably staring at a list of under-counter ice makers and wondering if you're about to waste a good chunk of cash on something that will end up gathering dust, or worse, breaking down just when you need a handful of cubes for a big party. I get that hesitation. The last thing anyone wants is to shell out for a commercial-grade machine that doesn't fit the kitchen layout or the actual demand. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through what the Scotsman CU50PA actually brings to the table, where it shines, and where it might leave you wishing you'd looked at a different model. First, a quick look at the broader category. Undercounter ice makers sit in a sweet spot between countertop units that are easy to plug in and full-size walk-in machines that require a dedicated room. The main trade-offs usually revolve around three things: how fast the machine can churn out ice, how much it can store before you have to empty it, and how much space it eats up in a busy kitchen. For a home bar that entertains a handful of guests a week, you want a unit that can keep up with a cocktail night but won't dominate the prep area. For a small restaurant or a catering operation, the same machine needs to produce enough ice to keep drinks cold all service without constant refills. Installation is another hidden hurdle. You need a water line, a drain, and enough clearance for the bin, plus the right voltage. If any of those pieces are missing, the whole purchase can feel like a DIY nightmare. The Scotsman CU50PA tries to balance those demands by packaging a surprisingly high production capacity into a compact stainless steel footprint. In practice, that means you can expect a steady stream of roughly 50-pound batches of cube-style ice per day, which is more than enough for a family that likes to host weekend barbecues or a modest coffee shop that wants to offer cold brew on tap. The generous ice storage isn't just marketing fluff. The built-in bin holds enough cubes to keep a 6-person cocktail rotation going for an hour or two without having to pause for a refill. Because the unit slides neatly under a standard countertop, you keep the work surface clear, and the stainless exterior resists the fingerprints and spills that are inevitable in a busy environment. Installation flexibility is another practical plus. The maker can be hooked up to a standard 115-volt outlet and a simple water line, and it comes with a drain option that can be routed to an existing sink. For anyone who doesn't want to rewire the kitchen or install a dedicated circuit, that convenience can save both time and an electrician's bill. However, the numbers on the Amazon page tell a more nuanced story. With an average rating of 2.4 out of 5 from 149 reviewers, the product isn't universally loved. While the specs sound solid, the real-world feedback suggests that the machine can be a bit temperamental when it comes to consistent performance. Some owners have reported that the ice output can dip after a few hours of continuous use, which forces you to wait while the internal freezer catches up. In a setting where you're relying on a constant supply, say, a brunch crowd ordering mimosas and iced coffees, that lag can become a noticeable bottleneck. Noise is another practical concern. The compressor cycles loudly enough that you'll hear it from the dining area, which could be a drawback for an open-concept kitchen or a home where the ice maker sits near a living space. Maintenance-wise, the unit requires regular cleaning of the water line and occasional descaling, which is standard for any ice machine but becomes a bigger chore if you're not used to that level of upkeep. Finally, the price point sits higher than many countertop alternatives, so you're paying a premium for the under-counter convenience and larger output, but the mixed reliability scores make it harder to justify the extra spend unless you truly need the volume and space savings. So, who should actually consider the Scotsman CU50PA? If you run a small bar, a boutique coffee shop, or a catering service that consistently needs a steady flow of cube ice without dedicating an entire room to a walk-in freezer, the high daily production and built-in storage can streamline service. The compact design also works for a home with a dedicated bar nook where a countertop unit would look out of place. In both scenarios, you're already planning for a permanent water line and have the electrical capacity to support a 115-volt appliance, so the installation won't be an afterthought. On the flip side, if you're a casual home cook who only needs ice for occasional drinks, a countertop maker or even a simple tray freezer will likely meet your needs for a fraction of the price and without the noise. Likewise, anyone who's sensitive to appliance sound, or who isn't comfortable performing routine cleaning and descaling, should probably look at quieter, lower-maintenance models. Bottom line, the Scotsman CU50PA1 delivers on the promise of a high-capacity, space-saving ice maker.